let's go then.
Right.
So, what are your interests?
At the moment,
Music?
at the moment, I like a lot of electronic kind of music. So it depends on my mood, obviously. So
Yeah.
I've liked bands such as like Deadmau5, Röyksopp, even things like 07. So it either crosses between something which is even slightly in the kind of mainstream to things which are kind of unknown, but very, very varied as well. It can be quite poppy, but it can also be slightly alternative. I mean, you can obviously mention people like Skrillex as well, when they were kind of coming up, but personally, at the moment, that's kind of music I'm kind of listening to a lot more constantly. How about yourself, Andy?
I think I've just been kind of broadening it out with I do listen to some dance tracks now and again. I like Passion Pit. Like he's got a really great song. I think it's called Sleepyhead. It's like using a lot of adverts, which are quite interesting. Also, like I listen to RYX. He's done a recent advert. I look up songs like are used for adverts quite a lot. But right now I've been listening to Ben Howard repeatedly, along with Benjamin Francis Flitwick, which is kind of folk artist right now. But I don't know. I just like listening to quite a lot of Motown right now, like Al Green, Stevie Wonder, like quite broadening into funk and stuff like that. And it's like get as much music as I can. Like I don't know. I just don't really listen to pop right now because it's quite awful. What about you, Seth?
At the moment, I've been sort of trying to branch out with music. I've been trying to look at the different genres and just sort of pick and choose the wee things I like. I started off liking things like the Spice Girls and Britney Spears and Steps, all that kind of thing. And then as I grew up as a teenager, I was obsessed with the Green Day. When I was about 13, I just loved them so much. There was just something really rocky and just fun about them. I just really liked the energy. And then I started liking bands like the Guns N' Roses and AC/DC and all this really rock and roll type. And then throughout my HNC music, I started liking jazz music, country, blues. It just all started I started to listen to a lot more. And now I go from listening to classical music, to country, blues, jazz, folk, and some pop as well. I don't think all the pop industry is bad. I think some is good and some is bad. I think it depends on the artists. I think it depends on the talent and how and the record company that owns them. Because sometimes it just depends on how well those artists are being looked after. Like the Miley Cyrus topic at the moment, there's been a lot of hype to do with whether she's just doing things for publicity or if it's because it's what she wants to do.
I think it was mostly to do with the whole shock value of it, the whole MTV movie, the MTV Awards are off at that point because you're just bad. But if she is doing it for just because she can, then okay. But I don't know, it just diminishes some class about like the pop industry a little bit. If she's like being told to do these things and she's just putting it on, then okay then. Maybe if she's wanting to sell like her music, then okay. It's just
I think she's got a really good voice and stuff. She's clearly knows what she's doing. When we just started with Hannah Montana, the sort of the children's programs, she has her voice. She sings the songs and stuff. But now she's just completely changed, and now people are just thinking they should just do it for shock value.
I mean, coming back when I was growing up, when you were mentioning about Spice Girls, I think I was in primary school when I got a Spice Girls album, and Aqua and I had a Robbie Williams album, and I used to listen to a lot like Michael Jackson. I also used to listen to Mike Oldfield as well, so Tubular Bells. And when I was growing up with that stuff that started to kind of fall away from me, and then I started liking like a lot of trance music because I was becoming really popular. That was kind of like a whole social cultural movement. Then was like the whole kind of electronic / you could probably call it rave scene, and then I grew up listening to all that. So it kind of from that it kind of went from trance to maybe either techno, from that even progressive house to that to breakbeat. So it was like, although I was within this one field, I started branching out and listening to the other genres. And that's how eventually, like when I started studying music, I was like, hold on, wait a minute, I'm only really listening to one kind of very, very broad genre, which is a lot of electronic stuff, self-produced, if maybe duos or trios. Then I started listening to like Foo Fighters, Queens of Stone Age, Pink Floyd, and then started branching out that way. So it's just something that I felt was better for my learning. Working in music is to know all the wide range, as much as the wide range of music as I possibly could. And now it's kind of branched off into something much like yourself. I still like my electronic music, but I like my alternative stuff. I still like my rock bands, but I always try and find someone that's kind of new, or that just kind of catches my ear. It doesn't have to be in a particular style, but I mean, I love cinematic orchestra and things like that as well. So I like branching out and finding something which perks me up a wee bit and kind of goes, oh, that sounds quite interesting. But with regards to pop, I don't particularly like pop, but I will admit that a lot of the songs and stuff like that can become extremely catchy. And I think that's the whole point. I really dislike a lot of the lyrical content involved in them though.
I know.
So that's something
Like
I never
what?
I don't know, something just like the kind of, I hate the whole kind of like sexualisation of things and how it's always pressured on. I guess you could kind of say it's almost, I wouldn't like to really say sexist, but it almost seems like it's an objectifying women. I don't really kind of like that stance on things, and I think a lot of that music's listened to a lot of the youth. So I don't kind of really agree. I mean, fair enough. There's a lot of strong lyrical content in a lot of songs, but that stuff pretty much spells it out. Whereas some songs you have to sit down and really, really think about them, and you don't really understand the song until maybe you're in that situation, or you've actually become a bit older and you've seen more of the world. So.
I know what you mean. As a vocalist, I've sang a lot of these songs, and just from reading the words, you don't realise what they're actually about, and you learn that. And also through singing, I've always grew up liking songs. The vocalist has always sort of been the hook for me. If it's a good vocalist, it just sort of attract me in. And but now, like as I'm progressing, I'm noticing all the extra wee things in the music. Because at the moment, I'm experimenting as a duo with ukulele, African drums, and percussion instruments. And through doing that, we're just noticing all the wee things that can be added to music, and it's just it's great to experiment with.
Cool. Did you grow up listening to Andy?
I'm gonna be honest, like I was quite a strange young kid. I never really listened to a lot of like music until I actually got my first like ever album, which was 5. Got a 5 album, and then I don't know, I kinda like stayed with that, just listening to that repeatedly. And then I went into town and I bought my first Beatles album, which was like a big deal. I got like Abbey Road and then the Red and Blue album, then the Black and White album, just like repeatedly listening to them over and over and over again. And then I kind of progressed listening to like Oasis, then Blur, and then other like unique indie bands.
That was the same for me. I was like Oasis and Feeder,
Yeah.
and Embrace, things like that.
Yeah.
So, I kind of went through that whole kind of phase as well. It's like, what was it? Stone Roses and all that kind of stuff as well. So it was kind of like the mod rock with the kind of like, you know, guys who always looked the same and maybe wore a tracksuit top sometimes. Britpop, I suppose you could say. Britpop era.
I went through a White Stripes phase as well. I really just loved, because it was when I was learning guitar actually. My guitarist was always going on about the White Stripes and he loved Jack White, and I started listening to them and I really liked how he was playing as well, and that kind of helped me play guitar.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, also I did have a White Stripes phase too. I even learned the Seven Nation Army bassline.
Yeah.
Was easiest. That's actually the first bassline that I ever learned.
Yeah.
Like at one point, it's like, I don't want to listen to them anymore.
I mean, that's one of the first things I learned in guitar actually. It was quite a good song to start with.
Definitely. It was always like, I don't know, they always kind of had a really great hook in one of their songs. Like, it's like, you know what, I want to learn that. But then, I don't know, after like I was listening to all that stuff, I kind of wanted to branch out. It's like, you know what, I want to, end up just going on the internet. It was like, random music. And then I looked up, what was it, Flogging Mollies. Ended up listening to them, like the whole Celtic punk kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, I'll listen to that. Then that kind of brought me into like traditional folk music, and then it brought me into like Mumford & Sons, other like great bands. And like, I don't know, I kind of like music that has a good build, like
Yeah.
most like songs do, but I also like the songs that like have got like a lot of meaning into them, like
Yeah.
that can tell a really great story, that can be relaxing, but also have that build, like what Mumford & Sons, Ben Howard, as I said before. But like, if you really had like great songwriters doing like good bands, great, like even if that can branch into other pop groups, I think they could be like something great. But right now it's been quite generic, wooden, like I'm gonna say boring. But like what you were saying, like you can get really good pop songs that are catchy, which
Yeah.
they're, I guess, that's what's making them
Yeah.
sell.
You get pop artists who are talented. It's not always
Yeah.
the songs. They don't always write their songs, and that it doesn't always show that they're
They
talented.
don't do the production on it really either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's usually a guy that will produce the whole kind of song within there maybe and singing
Yeah.
over it. But what do you think about the state of affairs of like the charts? So let's say if you were to take like the UK top 40, what do you feel about that? Do you feel like if you have a look at it? Do you even follow the UK top 40?
I'll be honest, I do.
I
I
do
just
not.
like,
You can look at
Yeah.
UK 40. I'm just.
I very rarely look at the UK top 40, but I could probably hazard a guess what it probably looks like, and it would be a lot of solo artists or group bands. Like,
Yeah.
and then group bands I
Yeah.
usually mean like boy bands. So
Yeah.
like your One Directions and your JLS's and
What are they called? The Saturdays.
yeah, so like all kind of things like that, and I think it's kind of bad that it's kind of the onus is on that now. From when I used to grow up, I used to see an awful lot of bands on the charts. I used to see like Oasis and all of these other kind of bands, and like Coldplay, and I used to see all these guys on the charts. Even like bands like Nirvana and all that would be in the UK top 40, but you don't really see like a
Yeah.
breakthrough.
I don't see that.
You see more of the onus as being on the solo artists rather than musical talent
Yeah.
being broadcast, you know. And I'm not saying that the solo pop people aren't musical or musically talented. It just doesn't. You don't really have to represent that, I suppose, in the
No.
music industry.
I think they should really change like.
I'm not trying to say like just because they can sing really well doesn't make them like any more or less talented, you know. Someone who's got a really strong voice just has a really strong voice. Much like someone who's a really
Some
strong
of them
guitarist
are.
is a really strong guitarist.
Some are really talented, but I think they should really change like what like the UK top 40 is. I mean, like when they're saying boy bands, they should really be saying boy groups, because that's what they are. If they can like, I think they can. If they can play instruments, then they should do that and sing and like show that they're multi-talented, show that they have like got like a great musical background, and like broaden like their musical range and talent and stuff like that, instead of
Well, we've got
Second.
McFly or what McBusted, I guess, are
Get
coming back.
busted now.
But yeah. Good
Again.
it's just kind of like
Well, I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy that, but I'm sure a lot of people won't.
Again,
really won't.
I'm going to bring up, shows like The X Factor, changing the way
Really
people
has.
see music as well. People see music as going for an audition and you become famous, and it's these 4 people that determine this person's future. And they think if they don't pass this show, if they don't win this show, then that means their music career's over. People have that perspective on music, whereas it's not just over if you don't pass an audition. There's a lot more you can do. There's a lot more roads, paths to success in music.
And I guess it depends on how you merit success in music.
Yeah, exactly. It's not
How you
always
manage
being famous
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fortune. Just
You can still make a healthy living out of being really popular in music, but
Yeah.
not extreme, like in the extreme ways of like being in the top one in the charts and
Yeah.
things like that. You know, you can still tour the world.
I know,
You know?
as your own band, as your own independent band.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be with a record label or anything.
Yeah.
I think like the state of like how people perceive like how we make it is like just deplorable. Like going into like auditions, like going into like you were saying X Factor, like thinking, yeah, I'll do this, I'll like make it this way. It's just kind of like, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna do it the easy way. It's like, it's better like actually getting more experience being out there, creating a band, creating like enough like advertisement in like cities like all over like the UK, and even like try and broaden your like
Some
out
people
American
just
stuff.
don't like the band stuff though. Some people just prefer to be able to sing.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to deal with the whole like I have to get my drummer out of bed and there's
Yeah.
there's some people that have had to do that. Some people just prefer to sing, and yeah, I can get why there's some people want to do that and some people don't.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's just like if they're wanting to like make it, then start like learn like how to like promote yourself, I guess, like properly, not just go on to some like TV shows.
But it's easy. I mean, they can see the success they get out of it. So when they get Christmas UK #1 for how many years in a trot, if you had the opportunity to do that because you knew you had a good voice, you'd probably go for it, because then you don't have to go through all of the you don't have to go
hard
through
stuff.
all of the hardship and all of the hard work. All you have to do is turn up for an audition, a guy says yes, and then that's you on the road to taking out all of the work that someone might have worked for 5-10 years on, you know. It's easy access, and it's just so easy for them to do it that way. You only have to wait in queue and sing. That's
Remember
it.
I know, it's easy.
what one of the course coordinators in here actually said to me, like, if you ever like go on these shows, like ever, like if you're like a really good singer, like come in second, because you'll be remembered for being like the guy that nearly won, but then people will end up picking you up. I mean, look at, what was that band like that?
Oh, there was a band but I think that was more down to who at the time wanted to throw and promote a lot of them.
Yeah.
Essentially, a lot of the artists that go on shows like that are just become the Christmas #1 and then that's it.
Yeah.
They don't really get that much backing, because the next show that's coming around is Britain's Got Talent, and then the next show that's coming around after that in the summer is the next X Factor. So
Yeah.
before you know it, they've already creaming the next bunch of Christmas hopefuls.
And you've got The Voice now as well,
Yeah,
which is
so-
another one.
So you've got plenty of shows out there, and they've got plenty of conflicting schedules. I mean, like I said, with the One Direction thing, I think that was Simon Cowell's. So Simon Cowell always says to them they were going to be huge. So Simon Cowell says these guys are going to be huge, marketed them massively. No one remembers who won. Well, I don't anyway. I don't watch it, so it doesn't matter.
I
I think it was like the one that came in second was that I think it was against that woman, what's her name, Alexander Burke. I think it was JLS that came in second.
Yeah, it
and
was,
they
actually.
were like there for 4 years, and then they decided, you know what, I think it's went on long enough. I think
JLS
it
were
was-
more well known than Alexander Burke.
Yeah, I think they actually started like writing their own songs, which were like good for like the teenagers and stuff like that. And they were catchy. They were quite good, like for them, like for like the pop genre, I guess. But like they stayed around for like 4 years, and like, you know what, it's time for us to move on, try different things and stuff like that. But I don't know. Apparently they're reforming again, just because I don't know.
Because it's the hype thing again. You know, if people say, "Oh, JLS are coming back,"
Yeah.
the amount of
Screaming
money
Girl
they'll
syndrome.
get,
Yeah.
the amount of albums they'll sell, merchandise, everything.
Cool. Is that enough?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.